So I'll call to order the Town of West Newbury Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, May 20th. It is 7 o'clock. And Katrina, can you tell me again what Mr. Roberts is here for?
He is here for scheduling the public hearing for 0 Middle Street.
For 0 Middle Street. Oh, right. Okay.
I think it may have been advertised already with a time certain. No? Didn't
No,
I see it in
no.
the paper? Oh, I
All
thought.
right, wait, hold just a second. So here's what we're going to do, since this should be real quick, and so we can cut Mr. Roberts loose. Let's take this agenda item out of order. And this was under general business D. And Katrina and Mr. Roberts, why don't you go ahead? When would you like to do this?
Third.
Uh-oh, Mr. Roberts.
Can't really hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So until we can hear him better, this is a new application. It's a refiling of the 0 Middle Street special permit for the reduced frontage, common driveway, and a scenic road permit. And the thinking was that if the board could schedule the public hearing for June 3rd, we could get it in the paper and advertised for June 3rd.
What else do we have going on June 3rd? We have assignment of our officers. And maybe the meeting with the Historical Commission.
Right, yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think it was actually published yesterday.
I saw it.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I saw it too.
Well, I guess we're already scheduled then for June 3rd.
I think it says 7:15, didn't it, Ben?
Says, yes, June 3rd, 7:15 PM.
Mhm,
And
saw it.
I know Jen's doing the mailings as well.
All right, then. I think that takes care of it. Does it, Katrina?
Well, it was my understanding that the board likes to schedule the public hearing, and that's why it's before you. If you want us to just, set the public hearing date and advertise it, it doesn't have to go before the planning board.
No, I for one like it to come before the planning board, but it sounded to me like it was already done.
Yeah, it's been advertised.
Right, well, the timing is such that you'd have to wait a whole month after advertising it, if the board has to see it before you vote to schedule the public hearing. And I actually did at the last meeting, we did talk about this, that we were expecting this application, and everyone agreed June 3rd would be a good date, but there was time for the board to actually look at it. But we've already advertised it.
Well, okay, so in this case, we're all set.
Yep.
Going future public hearings, I think as long as the planning board gets to sort of weigh in about the schedule and what's coming up in the future, I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
Do other board members agree with me? Give me a little nod. Ann does, looks like Deb does. Good.
Yeah.
And for everybody's information, Rob, and for everybody's information, Brian is away. He'll be back at our next meeting. So we only have 4 planning board members here tonight. Mr. Roberts, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about?
For 2 weeks from now. That's okay.
All right, sir, we get to
All right.
cut you loose then.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, the first item on the agenda then is Major Boyd Drive. I see Mr. Crow is here. Mr. Crow, we are in receipt of different selection of plants for the turnaround. And why don't you bring us up to speed?
Okay, so following up from our last meeting, when we agreed with the change in tree, this is a plan and there was a request to potentially use more native species. So I've met with my supplier of plants, Northeast Nursery, and the 4 of them listed on this are all native species plants. And the interesting thing is, which I didn't know a lot about them, most of them are more drought resistant. They're more hardy. They work better in poor soils. There's a lot of different considerations that why they work well.
Excellent.
These are all able to handle full sun and fairly dry conditions. And most of them are also deer resistance, which given the nature of the population of deer in my backwoods,
Yeah,
it's a big plus. So I've done what we talked about. The plan shows a 4-foot wide grass strip around the perimeter, and then an approximate 4-foot bed with a grass path that's about 10 feet wide coming into it on the bottom of the plan that you're showing. And then the 4 species spread out and, mixed and matched in various configurations around the perimeter, which is pretty much the same look as the original one had, but I think a better selection of plants and something I think will work. So,
good.
Good. Planning board members, any comment?
Yes, Deb here. Mike, could you please make that either a sugar maple or a red maple and not a Norway maple?
the tree's in.
Oh, and what kind of maple is it?
I don't know. I do not know for sure offhand. I don't think it's a Norway, but
It is.
right.
it's one of the same varieties that all the street trees lining the entire road are. And I think I put 13 of them in. So
Okay. I won't question it then. Thank you.
And this differs from the original plan. You show the 4-foot wide grassy area, although this is not to scale your planting plan here.
Right.
So
correct.
this is setting those plants back further. And that should, that's sort of a nod to the concerns of the highway department, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
And the bench is removed, so we don't have to worry about accessibility, correct?
correct.
And he's also proposing to take care of the future maintenance too.
I
Who?
saw a homeowners agreement.
I can,
So it's a real simple, one could argue it was already spelled out in the original document, but it wasn't clear, and I'm just making this clearer because what it referred to in the original document is the homeowners, because of the stormwater management areas, and they were all referred to as common facilities and common areas, and they were to maintain them all. I always interpreted and viewed that the side of the road and the island would be part of the common area.
Yeah.
And one could argue it is part of the water management area because runoff from the street hits the side. So, but just so that there's no question in, say, for Butch, because he was like to see something written, I just added it in so it's clear that those are included as part of what the homeowners will be taking care of.
That makes sense to me. Rob, any comments?
Nope.
Ann?
No, looks like what we discussed last time. Thank you.
So I think the first thing we need to do is to take a vote on whether or not we view this change in landscaping as a minor change. And I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on whether or not this is a minor change? Hearing none, all those in favor that we view this as a minor change? Ray Cook, aye.
And Bardine, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
So am I invited in on this one?
Oh yeah, you swore in, didn't you?
I swore up and down. Yep.
There
Yay.
you go. That's what we need. You're gonna maintain and uphold the
I will
laws of
do
the
that.
Commonwealth.
That's what Jim had me swear to. So I'm voting with everybody else. Thank
Thank
Okay,
you.
so the 4 of us have just voted that this is a minor modification. Now, that means we don't have to hold another public hearing. Now, the question is, do we approve of this change? So I'll make the motion that we approve of this change to landscaping.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
Friendly
And-
amendment to include the change to the homeowners association documents as well.
Yes, very good. So a change of the landscaping and noting the amendment to the homeowners association trust document. So, so that's the motion on the floor. Deb, you seconded it. You don't mind me adding that little bit,
Nope,
right?
nope, fine.
Very good. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
And Bardine, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
And Rob, I
Rob Phillips,
understand
aye.
that when we're on a Zoom meeting.
Yes,
you
Rob
say your name.
Phillips, aye.
There you go. All
It was
right.
to go
Used to be on the
alphabetically.
FinCom, we had the same thing, Ray.
Very good. Very good.
I just
Well-
needed someone to always remind me.
Yeah, well, usually I'm the one being enabled. All right. Very good. Do you have anything else for us, Mr. Crow, or are we in good shape?
I think we're in good shape. I hopefully in the next week or two, depending on weather, we'll have the road paved, and it may or may not happen before the landscaping there is finished, but it's not critical, but I would expect I'll be close to wrapped up in about 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Great.
Excellent.
Nice.
Katrina, do we have to sign anything?
I will be writing up a minor modification decision. We'll file that with the town clerk, just so they have a record that the board voted at a minor modification. And we'll put it in the file, but I'll have you come in and sign it when it's done.
Perfect. That'll be just fine. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Crow.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Very good. Let's see here. We're a little
night.
early. We advertised 29 Pleasant Street at 7:15.
Oh, we have minutes.
Perfect.
Yes, why don't we go ahead and do some minutes then? I see we have the minutes of February 4th, 2025.
There's a lot of attachments this meeting.
There are. That looks right.
Is that it?
Yes.
Can
Yeah,
everyone see that?
the packet that we received is 169 pages.
Hmm.
All right, draft of the meeting minutes. Is that large enough for everybody to read?
Yes.
Rob, can you read that?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I wasn't around then, was I?
No, you weren't there anyway.
Well,
So
thank God you were
I'm gonna
around.
beg off on this one.
Yeah, you were around. You just weren't here for this meeting.
We're on the
Okay.
board.
I gotta get my game together. I forget who I'm appearing in front of here.
You know, could I
page-
suggest, Mr. Chair, that everyone read the minutes, make notations on the changes so that they
Yeah.
don't have to read everything during the meeting, so that everyone's ready with their changes?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we do that. Yeah, we're just gonna go.
We're
through it.
actually, Katrina, we're actually doing the minutes much more quickly than we used to do them in the past.
Oh, really?
Yes. We at the planning board take our minutes very seriously.
Do,
Top of page 2. Bottom of page 2.
Can you scroll that up a little bit? Thank you.
Top of page 3, please. Bottom of page 3, please. Top of page 4, please. Bottom of page 4. Top of page 5. Bottom of page 5. Top of page 6. So I see that we haven't made any changes to these meetings. I'll move
No.
that we accept the meeting minutes as drafted.
second,
I have a second from Ms. Bardine. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
Brady and I.
Deb Hamilton, I.
That's
And
it.
one abstention?
Mhm.
Yes,
And one not
absolutely. Thank
voting.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And you know, since we're on a roll, Why don't we go ahead and hit the February 18th minutes as well? Thank you, Ms. O'Leary.
I'm abstaining on these as I was not there. I was ill, actually. It was a
Oh.
good meeting.
So we don't actually have enough to vote to approve the minutes, do we?
So you do not have to be at the meeting to vote on them. I understand that some may want to abstain
Oh,
just because they
okay.
weren't there, but
Okay.
by
Right.
law, you can vote on them.
Well,
Okay.
thanks for that clarification.
Well,
Planner O'Leary. All right, top of page 1. Bottom of page 1. Top of page 2. Bottom of page 2. Top of page 3. Bottom of page 3. Top of page 4. And bottom of page 4. Top of page 5.
Sorry, you can see that I actually edited some of this, so I guess if you adopt these, it would be with those changes.
Oh, very good. Okay. Yeah, editorial changes. And bottom of page 5. So any other edits other than the ones in red?
Move
I
we
move
accept
to-
them.
I move to accept these minutes as edited by Planner O'Leary.
second,
Any further discussion?
no,
Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
and Bardine, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
And Rob Phillips abstaining.
And one not voting. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you, Katrina. This brings us to our public hearing at 29 Pleasant Street. Do we need somebody to read a notice?
You already read the notice when the public hearing was opened April 1st and then continued immediately.
Gotcha, very good. So this is a continuance of the public hearing with respect to 29 Pleasant Street with Matthew George and Mary Ellen Russo. This is a special permit under section 9.8 for a common driveway. And let's see, I saw this in the packet. I forget what page it was in. I should have written it down.
So what are you looking for?
the document.
Oh, I was going to look at the plans for the proposed. Here we go. And I will share my screen for this. And do we have a representative from the engineer here? I
I'm
see the
here.
Russos are here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Go ahead and tell us about this.
Okay. Thank you. My name is John Tilton from Williams Sprages Engineering. So this is a continued public hearing for a common driveway request for 29 Pleasant Street. It's been a while since we, and I thank the board for the patience on this. We had to submit to the Board of Health, Conservation Commission, these plans. So in the Board of Health, we had to go back and redesign the reserve area. We originally had it near the house, so we had to go back, do some more testing, end up going back in the right-hand corner to satisfy the local requirements. And also, we were working with the neighbor as well in the positioning of the house. Originally, it was facing the driveway, and the new plan, I can share my screen, it's rotated, I guess, counterclockwise.
Sure, I'll stop my share so you can share.
Okay.
Does he have the ability to share, Katrina? Yes, I guess he does.
See it there? So this is a new location of the house. I mean, it's the same location pretty much, but just rotated. We actually had the septic reserve in this area here. We moved it out back. That allowed us to rotate the house in this position. The reason being that position, because the neighbor to the right, John, over here, he was going to see the back of the house and from his view. So we worked with him to rotate the house this position, and he seemed satisfied with that. And it helped us redesign the septic design, which is before the Board of Health. He asked us to get Concom approval first and planning board approval before he would approve, but he seemed satisfied with our design. We closed the hearing last night with the Conservation Commission, and we were expecting order conditions at the next meeting. We were also working with the fire chief at the time. He originally wanted us to widen out the driveway. It's 12 feet at its minimum here, the existing driveway here. He wanted 20 feet for the fire trucks. We worked back and forth with him. He was going to allow us to put gravel in there, engineer gravel on each side, which we agreed to do. But we also decided to, with the owner is to, in this area here, instead of gravel, more like a porous paver or a porous grid. I can't share my. I'll try to see my. I don't have the other details of it. On either side of the driveway, so it won't be all just gravel. It'll be grass, pavers on both sides, and the way it works, it may be 2 feet on one side, 6 feet another. We want to try avoiding cutting down as many trees as possible, and work with that best we can. And so the original look would be with the as the driveway is now. And also there's a water line, that's a private water line to service the house here. So that's why we continued several times, just so we could, get the septic system, get on board with the Board of Health, the fire chief, and with the neighbor next door. And that's the delay. So that's it. We're kind of, our last stop is with you, and we're hoping the board will like our plan.
Very good. Hold on just a second here. So, whoopsie. Wow, I don't know who that fine lad is, but there we go. All right. Now the common driveway portion of your plan here, where does that end? I don't see a line delineating the end of the common driveway.
Be the lot line.
Yeah, so this easement here, so we are gonna subdivide this. We need to do it. We have an AR plan, but we haven't submitted to you yet because we want to make sure the easement didn't change and the line didn't change. So this would be the splitting of the lot here, and right here, these dashed lines in black will be the utility and driveway easement for both lots. Well, actually, for this lot here, the existing house. So it's right. That'll be shown on A&R plan. We just had not submitted yet because we want to make sure we were satisfied all the boards and didn't have to move that line.
Right. Well, when I look at the dashed line
Mhm.
and I follow it up alongside the driveway,
Yeah.
I guess what I was saying is I didn't see where it terminated, but often the common driveway limit is different than the property line, but here you're saying that it coincides with the property line.
It does. Well, see, it's right here.
Yes,
It's right there. So it runs up right to here and it ends right here at this property line here.
that's
So-
right.
right.
Okay, so I
You're
guess
correct.
that what I would say is that when you revise the plan, it'd be nice to make some sort of note on the plan or some sort of line with a different dash or something so we can see the limit of the common driveway.
Okay. Yeah, we can show the A&R plan. It's more definitive on the A&R plan. So it's right. It ends right. That's the termination at the lot.
Yes, and that, alls I'm saying, and this is the old professor in me, is
Yeah.
that that's not clear on your plan,
Right.
right? And the planning board likes to know where the common driveway stops, because if that's very clear, then it's nicer for both homeowners. They know where the end of that responsibility is.
Sure.
Sure,
Excuse me, Ray, do you see the driveway and utility easement to the left with the arrows?
I do.
Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Labeling it?
No,
No.
Ann, help me out here.
I know what you mean. Okay, so the common driveway, if we were just to make a drawing of the common driveway, its fourth side is that little line that is also the property line, right?
Right, that's
It-
correct.
So to really delineate the extent of it, you might like right at the property line, include that same dashed line with a note like, you know, end of common driveway or extent of common driveway or something
Okay.
like,
Yeah. I,
that's all we meant.
Katrina, do you understand my concern there? That's all. I just want to be able to clearly see the complete boundary of what is the common driveway. That's all.
So I have a couple of questions here. This lot has not yet been filed as a separate lot, is that correct?
That's correct.
But it is an A and R lot, it has conforming frontage and complies with all other aspects. There's no
It-
special, nothing special here.
That's correct.
I know, I'm quite familiar with 29 Pleasant Street. And I noted in several places that it was referred to as a single family home. But my recollection is that it is actually a two-family home already. So I had not recognized that this was to be a totally separate house on a separate lot and not an ADU. May I ask what the square footage of the new house is likely to be?
It could be any, we actually do an exact number, probably a 25 square foot, probably 3,000 to 4,000 square foot home. I'm kind of estimating
Wow,
in here. It's the first floor. The footprint's probably like 2,400 square feet is probably about 2,400 square feet first floor. It's right here. It's smaller than the existing house, about half the size.
that's a big house.
It's
Uh,
actually, it's standard and
Yeah.
might be
Katrina.
smaller. Might be smaller for West Newbury actually. So
Katrina, just to make sure that we've got your best advice here, do you see any problem with the proceeding here with this common driveway before the A&R lot has been determined? I mean, in
No.
my mind, it seems a little backwards because if for some reason the A&R were to fail, then we'd have extra work.
It is
But
the correct way to do it. Because then he can actually put a notation on the A&R plan saying that it is subject to a special permit issued by the planning board.
Right. Otherwise, it would be access. We've done this before, Ray.
And
Okay,
I've also looked into the case law because I think in the past, the planning board or maybe abutters were concerned that the frontage was illusory. It is not. This is a legitimate A&R that the planning board should consider endorsing once it is before the board. Because all see, we're creating a new lot for the existing house that doesn't have a driveway going to the frontage anymore.
Right.
However, all they need to do is prove that they can get to any upland portion of their lot from the frontage, and they do. There's an upland portion in the front. We know they're not building a house there, but that's all you need to know to endorse the A&R.
well, you confirm something that we came across several years ago, Katrina. We had a similar situation like this where, well, it was just like this. This was along Main Street, and there was just a little upland, and it was just enough to say that you did have access through the frontage. So thanks for confirming that. I just wanted to make sure everybody's clear that the order of these applications is just fine. That's all.
And in response to Deb's comments about it being a two-family, I did check with the assessors. They have it as a single family. It's really a zoning code enforcement agent issue. If they think it's a two-family and it's being rented out to someone, they could go enforce it, but it really has nothing to do with what's before the board. But it's a good time to bring it to light that maybe they should make it a legal two-family if they want it to be a legal two-family.
Well, the owners are online. Is it still used as a two-family? It was rented to family members when I knew the property.
Well,
Yes,
actually, Deb,
it's not
wait, hold on, let me interrupt.
Okay,
I'm gonna say that that's not for us to talk about tonight.
all right.
Yeah, I'll just point out that to the Russo family that, you know, that we've got the ADU bylaw in place and there's all such a other, there's duplex by right. There might be, but that's between you and the enforcement officer. And I saw your hand up.
Yes, I have a question about the pervious pavers along the edge of the driveway. I know I'd seen earlier correspondence about from the fire chief and talking about the gravel and all that stuff. I think pervious pavers will be a more stable and, you know, literally solid solution. I just wondered if the Conservation Commission and the fire chief were in approval of that too.
Yes, so the conservation, they definitely work, because can you see my paper
Yes,
here? That's
yes.
example one, not in, we may use that one. And the fire chief too, this is engineered, it's rated for fire trucks and heavy vehicles, so that's something he was concerned of. So our point, and the conservation would rather see the grass growing through here, and actually, they would like that to grow back completely. This is how it looks now. So this is where it would be. This was going to be all gravel and compact, 20 feet wide. And so if we put the paver here, they can let it grow back almost to the point you can't see the pavers anymore. And
Yeah,
that's
and
the
it's-
intention here.
No, I'm
It's
very
bound
much
to
in
be
favor
much
of it.
better than gravel.
Right,
Right,
it keeps
right.
keeps the stone from washing off into the wetlands. I would think they would all be in favor, but I just wanted to double check.
That's correct. And we may have to cut down some of the brush here just to get the truck, and this might be trimmed back as well, but they want to, they really like their entrance and they want to keep it like this, restore it and keep that look. It'll take a year or two before the grass grows in here, but it's a very nice entrance and they want to maintain that.
Understood.
Got
Rob
it. Thank-
Phillips, do you have anything that you'd like to ask about here?
Just a quick question. Do you ever have your own engineer, our own engineer review this type of driveway construction?
I think we do. I mean, I think we have an estimate, don't we, from
Yes.
our
Yeah,
new engineer?
so what I would be interested in their response to this proposed driveway, which off the top of my head, I'm not against at all, but I think it's always wise to have our own engineer look at it.
Yeah, can I
And
just?
Ray, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Just one thing though. I understand. I don't have a problem reviewing it. The problem is their estimate is for $5,000 to review it. This is such a simple plan. A house, to have a review for $5,000. I mean, I'd rather have me pick someone to do it because it's a simple driveway improvement. It's a house and a septic. It's such a minor thing, and their estimate for $5,000 review, I think, is a little much for something like this. So, if they can do it for an hour review, I'll send the details. I'll work with them. I'd be happy to do that. But 5 hours is about a week worth of work, a review for this. So that's all I'd like to say about that.
I understand your point of view here. Of course, you would see the problem with the applicant also picking out the reviewing engineer. I think that could be construed as,
Right, I understand.
yeah. Katrina, any comments here
You mean regarding the engineer?
regarding engineering review?
I do think this is a pretty simple plan. All they're looking to do is use those blocks. I don't know what we call those blocks yet on the side and plant grass in them, right? So they're expanding the driveway on both sides. It'll still look like grass, but using those blocks that I know in Iceland, they use them everywhere.
Yeah, my only comment there, Katrina, is that the blocks do have to be put on a decent sub base in order.
Right,
to maintain
exactly,
Stability.
exactly.
And,
This
I-
isn't about the use of geoblocks I mean, I've used those on my properties, but I just do think, as Ray points out, that we have to arrange for some independent engineering review. Hopefully that costs less than the estimate.
Would it be feasible for Katrina to contact the engineer and stress the simplicity of this and
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to get a more realistic number?
absolutely.
I mean, that's,
So much of the review is reviewing the application requirements. Do they conform to zoning, et cetera? I could narrow the scope of it so that they are simply reviewing the proposed engineering.
Absolutely.
think so, because in this case, I think you've already reviewed the,
Right.
the compliance with the regulations, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like Katrina's proposal.
Ray, I have another comment too. I
Go
don't
right ahead.
I don't think there was any thought that we would vote tonight, but I just do want to point out to everyone that this is a special permit requiring 4 out of 5 affirmative votes. And at this point, we don't have an associate member. So the 5 members are the 4 of us present tonight and Brian Murphy, who is not present, but who could in the future vote as long as he listens to a recording of the meeting. So I would think it would be in everyone's best interest to have a full complement of 5 board members before any votes were taken. It's up to the applicant, but that's my reminder.
Yes, although I think that, yes, I agree. And looking over the comments and our demeanor tonight, I don't expect that there's anybody who's intending to vote negatively towards this. Never know,
True.
but seems to
True.
me to be okay. But if Katrina, if you approach our engineer representing the town and just confirm that the plan for the sub base and the use of the pavers is correct and appropriate, I would think that they could get that done in less than an hour of engineering time.
Do I have your permission to reduce the scope accordingly and then ask the applicant for that, receive it before the engineer does their review?
That's good by me. I don't know if we need a formal vote on that.
Well, I wasn't sure how, sometimes the boards just allow the planners to do all of that. So I just wanted to make sure that
I
you knew
appreciate
I
it.
was going to reduce the scope.
I appreciate you running that by us. Any objections? Ann, Rob, Deb?
No.
No,
No,
fine.
no objections. Thank you,
No.
Katrina, for checking with us and that way on, what is it? Next meeting is June 3rd, is it?
Yes.
June 3rd.
June 3rd, yeah, then we can have the vote. Does this hamper you tremendously, Mr. Tilton, or are you all right with,
That's fine. No, it's fine. Thank you.
yeah, good, all right then. Anything else with respect to this public hearing? Then I'll make the motion that we continue this public hearing until our next meeting on June 3rd, and we do it at the time of 7:15 p.m.
I think we already have something scheduled at that time.
Do we? What do we have? Katrina,
Zero
what would-
middle.
We
zero-
just scheduled a public hearing.
for
Middle
Zero Middle Street.
Okay, yes, we did. And was that at 7:15?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Like
we
this-
can take agenda items out of order, but that wouldn't be good form.
Do we think doing this at 7 would work or be?
I think it might. I think it might. Why don't we do that? Why don't we, I'll change my motion. So I move that we continue this public hearing for 29 Pleasant Street until 7 o'clock on June 3rd.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
And Bardi and I.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Rob Phillips, aye.
It's unanimous, one not voting. Thank you, Mr. Tilton. Thank you, Russo family.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Good night. Next item on the agenda is review of revisions for the housing production plan. And here I want to turn it over to our planner, Katrina O'Leary. If you could just,
Okay, so the board reviewed the housing production plan several times last fall. We submitted it and the state came back with several changes that are required by the state that they would like to see made. Angus and I met with Kayla Rennie from Merrimack Valley Planning Commission yesterday to talk about some of those changes. It looks like there could be some more suggested changes. And I know the board has reviewed the edited document and was ready to discuss it tonight. What they could do is maybe discuss the changes that have already been made, just so we know if that's the direction the board wants to go. But just know that this isn't the last time you're going to be asked to review it because there most likely will be a couple of more changes.
thank you very much. I saw it in the planning packet, but perhaps you'd like to pull it up and share your screen
Okay.
and we can just dash through those changes. Under your capable guidance.
I didn't say capable with
Oh.
Zoom yet.
No, it's more than,
Still a
well,
work in
the
progress.
guidance is capable,
That's right.
it's all capable. It's all good.
All right, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes, although it
Yeah.
hasn't started to actually kick, there it is.
There we go.
Okay, I'm gonna skip through to the first change.
This is exactly what I was hoping for. Thank you. Can you zoom in just a little bit?
Yes, please.
All right, I'm gonna have to download it to zoom in because I don't think I can zoom. Oh, nope.
No,
You
that's
might be able to
cool.
hold the control. There you go.
There.
Perfect.
Okay. The identification of sites where the municipality will encourage the filing of a comprehensive permit application. I will let you know that Angus and I both felt like, I'm not sure we want to do this.
Right.
You know, we view the housing production plan as a way to protect ourselves from 40Bs. And here we're going to, you know, create a bullseye. I know the state doesn't view it that way, that the housing production plan is a way to create that affordable housing so that we don't have to be afraid of 40Bs. But I think there is a way, and Kayla is checking for us to see if the state would be acceptable to us just creating a statement that, you know, the select board is open to discussions with developers to talk about maybe friendly 40Bs. It doesn't say we will do it. It's just that we are open to discussing that. And so we're hoping that there's a way around picking parcels that we will, you know, we are accepting
this-
40Bs on.
Yeah, is this also the sort of thing, since we're talking about developing affordable housing, chapter 40B and whatnot, is this the sort of thing that the select board, the planning board, and our affordable housing group in town could all coordinate on? Or are
Sure.
you? Yeah?
Yeah.
And, but you're saying that for the sake of this, the best thing after talking with Angus and the select board is to just have that language that we welcome conversations with developers.
Right.
in
If
order
it's
to-
acceptable to the state, because we don't, you know, it's only a couple of people working on the housing production plan that would be choosing the sites for these
Right.
40Bs. It
Right.
doesn't seem quite right.
No.
Considering the whole MBTA thing, it's pretty apparent that that would be a difficult thing to do.
Right.
Well, and in addition, the comment from HLC mentions comprehensive permits, but it also just talks about SHI eligible housing. And we have other efforts, you know, we have an inclusionary bylaw, you know, all that stuff. So we're making other efforts. It's not as if there's only one way to do it.
Right. That,
And, you know, just between us squirrels, we originally purchased the Mullen property for a development that included a diversity, but also some more attainable housing. So it's not like, I guess what I'm saying is it's clear that the intention of the town is to be open to such a thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you should all look at this as, I think that the state will allow us to just include a statement saying that the select board is open to discussing it. I think that we probably shouldn't even discuss this anymore because it, you
Right.
know,
We've agreed.
not worth worrying about.
Right.
And would it be, is it the select board that would be the proper entity to discuss this?
Yes, because they're the ones that
Yes.
are initially, the application for the 40B goes to the select board first.
Okay, thank you.
It's not an actual application. I forget. It's a letter of intent, I think.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, so Kayla did fix this and added this information about the disabled population. She is checking on it. Angus felt like it was a little high, but she's checking on to make sure it's an accurate number.
Yeah,
That-
also, yeah, that's very tough number because how do you define a
That's right.
disability?
Well, she has a definition and it includes
a ton of
mental
things.
impairments, eyes,
Good,
ears, everything. So,
Right.
But where's that what's the source of that information? That would have to be self-reported. That seems kind of,
I forget the
Strange.
name of the publication. Well, that's another thing that she's going to add here is the source of that information.
yeah, because I don't,
The next time you see it, it will have the source.
okay.
Good. You know, I think if you consider the broadest understanding what a disability is, then maybe you get to 11%, even though offhand it seems like a big number.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there's another one.
Yes, it's right near the end though, I think. Isn't it?
There we go.
There it is.
It's this one.
Oh, here we go again. This is basically the same
Same
thing.
thing, yeah. Because this has to do with municipally owned property specifically. So I would think that a reworking or whatever is said in the first place would,
Right. So this is
Work again.
basically the same issue, and we are hoping to solve this by just including a paragraph about working with potential 40B developers.
And here we don't have a problem with calling out the Mullen property and specifically,
Could I interject here?
please,
Ray?
go
So
right ahead.
the point of this is actually that the Affordable Housing Trust has a grant from the Mass Housing Partnership to do a feasibility study on the Mullen property. However,
Perfect.
part of the contract for that grant is to not publicly announce it. So we're getting clearance from MHP's lawyers that we can put this in the housing production plan.
Good. Yeah, because we just talked about not being too specific, but I understand what you're saying.
okay. Yeah, then
Thank you,
that's.
Katrina. Anything else?
Oh, this is.
Oh, this is just an update. So they're going to have regulations for the starter home zoning district regulations soon, and then we can update this.
Good.
Yeah, Angus asked for an update on that. And I don't think any change.
Good.
And this is just adding more information.
Mhm.
You can all read this. This is in these.
Yes.
I'll just
It
get it.
all seemed fine to me. And then there's another table. Well, we'll get to it. I agreed with Angus's comments. Why have those columns? They are useless.
Unless the state
Oh.
requires all reports to
Wow.
have exactly those columns.
What was your comment?
I say, sometimes an entity will want everybody's report to look exactly the same in certain areas.
Yeah.
And that might be the reason to have columns, even though for West Newbury, they're blank.
Well, and in that case, I would leave them. And then since it's all conceptual, I put NA, 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 NA a million times in all those boxes.
Yeah,
Because there's nothing happening yet. If there has to be something.
but can we agree to just let Katrina work that out?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
However,
you'll see the final
Right.
um, plan in a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so. And that's that.
very good.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank you
good.
for the update.
Yes, good to chip away at it.
Now, in the planning board agenda, you said vote to approve revisions, but I assume that's not true. We're not taking a vote because there's still revisions to come, correct?
Right, right.
Very good.
I'm just trying to get out of this now and I can't find my bar anymore.
No worries.
Oh, there it is. So
Okay.
I have a laptop and I have a big screen and things get lost.
Understood. All right, next item on the agenda is the MBTA Communities Law zoning discussion regarding next steps. And Wendy has informed me that the Board of Selectmen has decided to go ahead with a working group, and we exchanged a couple of letters, and she has come up with, there's a couple things that I wanted to touch upon. I want to delay a lot of this discussion because, you know, things have been a little tense and everything, and I don't want that to happen. I know that Select Board doesn't want that to happen, but there are some good things that we can do tonight. One of the things, and I'm looking for it because I had it.
Well, there was a new letter today.
There's a new letter for the residents, but before we get to that, there was the description of the working group.
Yes, today
here it is.
they were both attached to an email today. the link.
Yes, I just wanted to call it up and share it.
Yes, I agree.
So this is, can you see that? It looks like you can.
Yes.
So this is the way it's envisioned to have the working group work. And you can see it'd be 5 members, which is good. So don't have any split votes, although I'm not sure how much actual voting will be necessary. And then down here is the recommended work plan. The only comment that I have on this is that the way I understand the zoning needs to go forward is eventually the working group will be working away. They'll come up with a plan. They'll bring that, I think Wendy said they'll bring that to the select board and the planning board, and eventually the zoning bylaw will identify a site. And I'm hoping that the idea of maybe presenting the town with more than one site is a possibility in the future. Although I think it's pretty clear that the select board believes, and they might very well be correct in this, that the best thing to do is propose only one site to town meeting. But there's plenty of time to decide which way is best. So this working group looks fine to me. And the first thing I want to do is sort of discuss it here on the board. And so Anne, Rob, Deb, do you think that this idea for a working group is fine to proceed with this as the select board has proposed it and is planning to go ahead with it?
It makes sense to me. I mean, it's got a specific, good specifics about who's going to be in the group, what their charge is, and the very tight time frame to accomplish it all in just a little over 2 months. But I think that's what's needed.
Yes, and I was originally concerned about, the open meeting law, and here, as you can see, they will follow the open meeting law requirements. So there'll be minutes and everything. So that's reassuring. Deb, Rob, any comments?
No, I hope that the public will respond to, and that residents have input on locations that are possibilities that we did not consider previously.
Good. And to that end, the next thing that I had in my mind to do was to just show the residents letter. But first I wanted to just cover the working group bit. Rob?
I'm fully in favor of this and hope we can get it started really quickly.
Good. So I'll ask Wendy, would it be helpful at all, do you think, for the planning board tonight to vote to endorse this way of proceeding on the MBTA? Would you like us to have a formal vote endorsing the working group concept?
Yes, I think that would be helpful. The select board will also vote at their next meeting, so that would be.
Okay,
great.
so I'll make a motion that the planning board endorses the creation of the working group as outlined in the letter that I'm showing to you here, that I'm sure will be publicly available if it isn't already. So my motion is that the planning board endorses the creation of the MBT working group.
Second,
We have a second from Ms. Hamilton. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
And Buddy and I,
Deb Hamilton, I.
Rob Phillips, aye.
Now, along with this the establishment of the working group here, I do think it would be good to have Brian back before we make an official person here. I'm going to ask Wendy, would there be any advantage to meeting this tight deadline if what we did tonight was have an interim member for the next couple of weeks and then make it official when Brian comes back and we get more input? It might change who the person is. But is there any advantage to having somebody right away at the end of this meeting that you can call the interim planning board member?
I don't think so. The schedule that I laid out, we want to wait till we get feedback from residents before the working group meets. So that would be the same week as your next planning board meeting. So I think that would be
Okay,
fine.
so that's
Yep.
simpler. So
Yep.
we won't try to establish that. Now, let me see that. Okay, now let's see here. I want to stop share just for a sec, and then I want to call it the resident letter for everybody to see. Now, I sent you an email today, Wendy. My only suggestions on that I saw on this, oh, well, let me start up. So in case Anne, Rob, or Deb aren't familiar with this, this is the letter that Wendy hopes to send out, maybe even tomorrow,
Mhm.
from the select board. And how do you send it out? Through email?
Yeah, we'll post it, do an email blast and refer
Good.
to it on the sign. Yeah.
Good, good, good. So I think my comment here is that I think what you can do is when it comes to all this stuff, you might consider simplifying it and just saying you're looking for one parcel, 5.8 acres. I don't know the details of why we can't like have 2.5 acres over here and another whatever with 2.8 acres over there, whatever the remainder would be. I mean, that is what you're explaining here, that, but I'd
Yeah,
say,
this was in response to a lot of comments from residents thinking we could do a bunch of small parcels. So we felt like it was important to explain it. I mean, it's complicated. I do think it's, a little distracting in this letter, but if we want to
Okay.
get good feedback, I think we have to lay that out there.
okay, that's fine. I just, the reason why, the thing that, and you might consider this, or you might not change anything at all. It's just my personal suggestion. I'm
Mhm.
seeing the 5.8 here and the 5 down there, and that can get a little confusing to people.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And then the other thing here that I was suggesting is, that My Map website is really helpful because you can click on a parcel and it tells you how many acres it is, and it highlights it. I would think that for most residents, it would be handy to have that tool available. But I don't know if that's not something you want to point out to people, but if there's no reason not to point it out, you might provide a link here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
no, I
love
think
that
that's
idea.
fine.
Yeah.
I will say that it's not very user-friendly, so, but there's no harm in putting the link in. It's also linked from the assessor's webpage. So, yeah, I can put that in there somewhere.
When I first started using the My Map, I agree with you.
Mhm.
And it still is not very user-friendly. But one thing I think that Deb showed me, I think inadvertently or directly, is that if you just kind of zoom in and click on a parcel, boom, there it is. If you have to search for a parcel, it's miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
Ray,
Ann?
may I make a few comments? I like keeping all that detail about why we can't use the smaller parcels. We're just going to forestall 637 questions by including that in the letter. The edit I might consider is to say the location must be at least 5.8 acres, because you know,
Right.
we'd still have to
Right.
have room for roads and all the other stuff. But that's, or at minimum, something like that. And in fact, it's not the location. I guess I would say the parcel must include at least 5.8 acres, because for instance, Napa is like 19 acres, right? So
Yeah,
we're not looking for a right-sized parcel. We're looking for a parcel that includes a right-sized area within it.
Right.
That's
So
good.
I think the more specificity, the better in sort of ruling in and ruling out. And the
Mhm.
reason I think my map is great is you can click on any parcel and find out how many acres it is.
exactly.
You know, you might say that looks big, and then it's 3 points,
Pops right up.
you know, so you kind of need that.
Now, what I'm going to ask for here, are there any other comments on this letter? And is everybody fine with it going out
Yes.
tomorrow?
Yes.
Katrina?
First of all, I would like to offer my assistance if anyone has questions. You know, you could always put somewhere that they're free to call the planner if they have any questions on what lots are eligible to be chosen. Also, I think there's some residents that this letter will be enough for them. And then there's some residents that will want to go and take a deep dive and really figure out what is required, what the state is requiring. And so I think it's important that we have a website. I don't think we want to use the old website. The old website has a ton of information that can be used, but I think we should create a new web page for the process going forward. Take some of the information from the old page, but kind of start new.
like
and
that.
So that's something that that I could be working on in the next week or two to get ready for the week of, is it June 3rd?
Yeah,
there-
so we had thought to have a web page for the working group. We're doing a similar thing with the library feasibility study working group. So
So
I think
I don't know if there's time, Wendy and Katrina, but I mean, it might be nice if people, because here you say, please provide your input. And then you give the an email address, which is fine, and you might just leave it that way. But if it's easy, you might have a way of submitting suggestions through the website directly. I know that it has yet to be created, so you don't know whether or not that can be done, but
Mhm.
Excuse me, is it a separate website or is it a web page?
It's a web page on the town website.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Just
a
like a
web page,
committee.
not a website. So
Yeah.
uh, I think that since Katrina's going to be part of this working group to get started, I think we should just bless her getting started. And she'll be doing work ahead of it going live anyways, I would suspect. But there's no harm in starting to pull some stuff together. She could start talking with Angus and his staff about it too, because it should come from the working group eventually.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I'm just judging by nodding here that we're all giving Katrina, as you put it,
Yes.
Rob, our blessing. Although even though I am from the Chicago area, I don't feel like I can bless people as well as our new Pope.
Well,
But-
first of all, are you Catholic?
Episcopalian, which is kind of close.
Sort of, but yeah, you guys keep claiming that. I don't know about that, but okay.
Okay. All right. Now here, there's another thing that I've got for you. And this is, I'm making it available to the working group. And it can be completely ignored. And I'm making it available to Katrina and to Wendy, like I said, to the working group. It can be completely ignored. But I've spent so much time digging into this stuff and thinking about it that before I stepped away, I wanted to offer this. Can you see this?
Yeah,
So I'll send this to Katrina and Wendy, and they can relay it to anybody else, or they could, just put it in a file never to be seen again. But these are my thoughts here. And one thing that, in the last couple of weeks, I've answered some of the questions that I was so insistent upon having answers to. One of which is the land that should be excluded. And this is right out of the, well, it's out of the compliance guideline definitions. It's also, oh, this is an earlier version of it. Well, in any case, this is right from the state. There's a document about Section 3A from the Attorney General. It's been revised a couple of times. But this phrase, land areas on which it is not possible or practical to construct multifamily housing, I think that could play in to decisions in the future. And it's a little disturbing because who decides what's practical? But
Right. Ray, as regards to this is great, and I suspect there's more stuff coming from a whole bunch of places. I would just enter it into the record through Katrina and Wendy, and it becomes part of what the working group takes into account.
I'll be glad to do that. I'll be glad.
You know that the state is a moving target on any new legislation. I mean, if we don't know that, we all need to keep it in mind that.
Yes, well, this document, Rob, I appreciate it, but I want you to indulge me before I step away from the chair position, just to hit a couple of points that I had brought up in the past and I think are relevant. So by indulging me here for a few minutes, then I'll sleep better tonight. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. One thing that residents brought up, either directly or indirectly with me, I forget how it came up, but was the idea of zoning over downtown. And that brings in the whole multi-use thing. And then there are websites that said that you can't do that because it'll result in losing commercial places. And then there was another revision from the state in which they tried to make sure that that wouldn't happen. But in any case, it's complicated and would probably require a big revision of the bylaw. And then there are things that haven't been talked about that much. Well, I think a confirmation of whether or not it's within half a mile of Main Street is a conversation that needs to take place. And I think it can be argued that it should be within half a mile. That being said, a half a mile either side of Main Street is still a pretty wide swath of land. Nobody's talked about the historic district and historic buildings, but I'm sure that that would be something for the working group to consider. Here's my note on district and mixed use development. It'll probably have to be discussed whether you want to combine separate parcels into the overlay district or try to find one parcel. And I think, for example, Rob, I need to mention this now, just in case Wendy wants to make some sort of revision or not to the letter going out to people tomorrow. Are we looking for one parcel or are we looking for a group of parcels? Because I know people at town meeting and on Facebook and whatnot have talked about doing it on multiple parcels that combine to get your 5.8 acres. Nobody's talked about steep slopes, but when you're looking for that 5.8 acres of developable land, especially if you consider what's practical to build multifamily housing on, I think it would be reasonable to exclude steep slopes. And that can have an effect in a bunch of different places in town. Nobody's talked about scenic roads, something to think about. Traffic, it's not a big impact on Main Street, but if you put it off on South Street or some other places in town, since those aren't arterials, suddenly those extra cars turning in and out becomes more significant. Parcel geometry, if you take a long skinny parcel and you put the setbacks in it, what you're left with might not be practical to build something on. So some parcels would be excluded just because of just simple geometry. I note along Main Street, you've got Mill Pond behind and steep slopes, for example. So although you click on it, it might look okay on my map. By the time you actually put in setbacks and whatnot, it might need to be excluded. I couldn't find any references about agricultural land, but I think it would be very upsetting to people in the town to develop agricultural land. And then public land, you know that whole business. Finally, when it comes to the specific parcels, just a couple of comments from me. Done, obviously, is something for the working group to consider. NAPs, the town voted not to do NAPs. But that being said, There'll be more information by the time the fall rolls around, so it's something not to throw out just yet, I would counsel. However, I understand the political bit. Also, Drake's Landing has been mentioned over and over again. The problem I see with Drake's Landing again is that it wouldn't be practical to build there because you'd have to buy all the residents up, you'd have to knock down brand new housing and then rebuild housing on it. So that's why I urge caution with Drake's Landing. None of this stuff is me saying what's got to be. All of this stuff is just a summary of my thinking on these various topics for the working group to consider. Yeah. By the way, a lot of people have mentioned putting it over, like some town put it over a Kmart. And that makes perfect sense to me. If we had an abandoned Kmart, you could see how that could be practical to develop it. But we don't. Good. So I'll send this along to Katrina and Wendy, and you can decide whether or not to call it to the attention of the working group once it's configured or not. It's yours to use or lose. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And thank you, Rob. I bet that was about an extra 5 or 7 minutes after you suggested I stop talking about it.
You're very welcome, and I'd remind you that you're still going to be a member of the board, and I'm sure you're still going to speak, which we all
No,
look
well,
forward to.
No. What I picture is the working group going off and doing working group things. And by the time it comes back to the planning board, I'll just be another member and there might not be much to say. At
Right,
that
but
point,
we have the the June 3rd meeting too, so
yeah, but at that point, everything, so
whatever.
yeah, before it comes back to the planning board, the working group, according to Wendy's plan, will narrow the number of parcels down to the best candidates. She's got it all laid out there. So that'll all take place before I see it again. So that's why I wanted to get my input in there for consideration if it's desirable. Wendy, I'd like to recognize you if there's anything else you'd like to talk about MBTA stuff.
I would just say that having a working group doesn't mean that planning board members don't have input. I mean, I would expect the working group member to update the planning board at every meeting and obtain their input.
Exactly.
That's the way it should work. Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Well, that'll be fine. And is there Katrina and Wendy and other planning board members? Is there anything else we need to talk about with respect to MBTA tonight?
I don't have anything.
No?
No, just to
Good?
put it on the June 3rd agenda, that's all.
Right.
Good. All right, then. We've done, moving on then to general business. We handled the minutes. Correspondence?
We do have correspondence. Let me find it. Okay, oh, it is just a public hearing notice for Newbury for a site plan submittal for in their MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District. It's at
There you go.
34 Central Street.
Yeah, they're cranking.
Yep, moving along. That's all I have for correspondence.
Very good.
Other
Administrative-
than the email that came in today for the Historical Commission.
Oh, they want to be on our
Regarding
agenda.
hopefully coming in on June 3rd to discuss stone walls.
Yikes. It's gonna be a long night.
I thought tonight would be a long night and it doesn't appear to be, so there's hope.
Yeah,
Does that sound good? The Historical Commission coming in on June 3rd?
it does to me. Anybody else? Comments?
I guess it isn't something that really needs a vote. You can just tell me to put it on the agenda.
Yeah, put it on the agenda. Yeah. By the way, I can't help asking, is with MBTA, are you guys, Katrina, Wendy, Rob, anybody aware of how historical districts and historical buildings play into this? Because we've got some great old historical buildings up and down Main Street, all around West Newbury.
I can, I know that there has been chatter on the planners listserv. It kind of goes right over my head because it wasn't an issue. But I can do a little research on it if you'd like.
Well, that's for you, that's for the working group. It's just,
Okay.
it hadn't occurred to me until this last couple of weeks that if we're looking at all the parcels in town, that suddenly becomes a brand new issue.
I would think that most of the older homes are on small parcels. So that might just work itself out.
Yeah, certainly on Main Street they are.
Yeah, but I mean, that gets back to whether or not if you're combining several small parcels to create a district.
Mhm.
And then, of course, if you got a big old farm, you know, then there might be that some of the farm buildings are of historical value as well. But anyway, okay, did I ask about administrative details
You didn't, but I don't have any details.
other than the scheduling of the historical group?
Is that what you call an administrative detail? I
That
had
goes
it under
where,
list of
that
items.
goes wherever our town planner decides it goes best.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all you.
The next item, that's where it goes. Placement of items.
Placement of items, there you go.
So I think we have covered everything.
Good. Well, I don't have any items not reasonably anticipated, other than to formally welcome our newly sworn member, Rob Phillips. And then
Thank you.
I guess since Wendy's here, I could just ask about associate member searches or anything like that, since the
We
select
did
board.
advertise, not advertise, but it's up on the website.
Good. Well, we look forward to having a new associate member appointed to us by the select board. And I guess I'll just put out the notice to everybody. If you know of somebody you think might be good, then please direct them to Wendy's and Katrina's attention.
Ray,
And
I just jump in on this June 3rd, on the agenda, it says that it's a scheduled discussion about reduced frontage. I know I went back and looked at the minutes. I think what we said was we would talk about it after town meeting. And I'm just wondering if with stone walls and 0 Middle Street and 29 Pleasant and MBTA, if we're a little overscheduled, I guess we could keep it with the proviso that it might have to get moved again.
So could I just say, could we keep it? Because I think what I want you to look at is my schedule. I created a schedule so that we can kind of keep on a schedule and keep working on it throughout the summer.
Okay.
So really just look at the
Keep it on there.
schedule. And I think what I have on it is in July, I will come to you with samples from other communities. So you can see how other communities deal with reduced frontage special permits.
May I then ask you is that schedule on the website, and otherwise would you resend it, because I'm not sure I have a copy of your schedule.
No, that's all I'm going to present to you on June 3rd is the schedule. So that we
Got
can
it.
talk about the schedule.
Got it. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, makes sense to me. Thank you.
Good. Planning board members, anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Wendy Reed?
I have one
anything?
thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Rob.
So, as in reaction to Major Boyd's landscape plan for the island in the middle of the cul-de-sac end, you had all mentioned Garden Club and West Newbury Wild and Native. And West Newbury Wild and Native actually is the better group to go to. They're kind of synthesized one to the other, but one works on certain stuff. West Newbury Wild and Native has been doing a lot of plantings throughout town. They've been working with the town in a lot of different ways. They get along really well with Butch, for example. I basically asked them, we kind of just did a pro forma in reaction to Major Boyd's landscape plan, and they were all enthused to think that there's a possibility that they could work with the planning board on things that would lead to lists of trees, sources for getting trees, bushes, shrubs, plantings. So they're all excited about the possibility of working with you guys.
No,
So
working with us
excited that-
guys,
Huh?
working with us guys.
Us, including you.
All of us. Yes, right, all of us. So I just would like sometime in June to invite at least Carol Decker, if not some other of the members, depending on everybody's workload, et cetera, so that we could talk directly to them about this. I see this as a real positive step in a lot of ways, and it integrates them further into their work in the community.
I, for one, am all in favor of that, and I think in future, when we have future applications, when Katrina has these kind of informal discussions, even before any sort of informal meeting,
Yes.
Katrina can mention to them that we're interested in native plants and that
Right.
this town entity exists. I'm sure they've got a website. Do they have a website?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
They're not a town entity. I just want to point that out. I mean,
Okay.
They
are-
are an organization that exists as a neighborhood association. They work under the auspices of GOMI, Gulf of Maine Institute. Yes, and I am trying to get them to become a legal entity. They don't believe me when I explain that it's actually rather simple and it would be very good for them to do this, but we will iron that out, trust me. But they're really doing well. I think they were Citizen of the Year a few years ago. I don't know how that works.
Well, I'm wondering, and Katrina would know this, I mean, do you think that, in the future, there could be an adjustment to our regulations or procedures or whatnot to strongly encourage or maybe even require that when landscape architects are called for, which they are in several different areas of special permits and whatnot, that it be, landscape architects always work with native species?
Oh, we could require that.
Can require that, yeah. And I think that the West Newbury Wild and Native can be strongly linked somehow as a resource.
Yes.
I know for a long time, Fred Shinani have advocated very hard on behalf of the tree committee, which is an official committee, and got them on the distribution list and all those things. So there are ways to get interested parties involved. But I think we need to be cautious about how we
Right,
asked for shared information and all that kind of stuff.
right. And that's
And-
why
and
you
we
would just want.
also, if we're going to get into a deeper discussion, we should probably put it on the agenda to discuss this.
Yes,
Let's do
in the
that.
future.
that's
let's
what I'm
do that.
proposing, yes.
So
Yeah,
is
even
that a
if you-
yes for June 3rd to put them on the agenda?
Thanks. How
Well,
about
I said in June because it seems like June 3rd might be stacking up. I mean, if you look forward,
Oh, June
To the middle.
17th?
how about the 17th?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Good, I'm glad you mentioned that, Rob.
And I warn you to remember, I have a daughter getting married, June 7th, and a daughter getting married July 13th. So I'm gonna be very
Holy
busy.
moly.
You won't get a staff report for the June 17th, but I will be back.
Katrina, does this exhaust your inventory of daughters?
It does. I do have another son though.
Okay,
And it looks like he's gonna be getting married possibly at the end of this year.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, your family's expanding awful fast.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, then, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion to adjourn cannot be discussed. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
Buddy and I.
Deb
It's
Hamilton.
unanimous.
Yes, thank you.
good night,
Thank you all
everybody.
very much.